When is wax better than a ceramic coating?
Hi, I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
And this is the DIY Detail Podcast. Today we're going to delve into the use case for wax. And can it be better than a coating?
I don't know what use case means. That sounds like a fancy word, Ivan. But I do know that wax is not dead. If there were ever a time, as we record this in June of 2025, it could be 2029 if you're watching this. So just comment below.
Yep.
But anyway, it feels like the time to wax the car, Ivan. If there were ever a time, it is now. What's the deal with wax?
Well, wax for someone of, my age, is a therapeutic thing, first of all. It harkens back to our childhood. But today's waxes, like our show-winning wax, is not like the waxes of our childhood. So let me reassure all the older guys and gals out there that no, you're not going to, rip open your bicep by waxing a car using our wax. It is very simple. It's very easy. It's user-friendly. You can wax in direct sunlight if you want to. You can wax the plastics if they're not too oxidized. Basically, the mistakes that we used to have and the oopses that we used to have with waxes, like the crust of wax around the emblems, we've taken all of that away. But what
so that's not going to happen for folks. They don't have to be worried about crust sticking to emblems and in between seams.
If they want it, they can do it. But if you apply the way we suggest, no, it's not going to be an issue. But you're going to get the great parts of a wax. And the great parts of a wax are the look and the filling ability. And the filling ability is one of the things we concentrated on highly with our wax. And no, it's not a super hard paste wax that you have to massage in with your bare hands because you need extra heat. No, it's a nice cream consistency, like a hand lotion almost in terms of consistency. And it just goes on super easy. As Nick will attest, the thinner you can put it on, the better it is. And once you master the art of putting it on thin, it just wipes off without any effort and levels like a coating.
And there's nothing like it when you're done, Ivan. It gives you that wild look. It's just more work than putting on ceramic gloss after a detail. So make the case to me of why I should use wax when I could use something like ceramic gloss. And then I want to talk about our ceramic coatings and compare them to wax, but let's just step it up, right? Ceramic gloss offers longer term protection, and it seems like it's easier to use to me.
It is.
So what am I missing?
Right. What you're missing is the intrinsic meditation of applying a wax, that meditative state that we go into. And some of us detail our cars to drive them. That's my case. But there are some people that Saturday morning, they step into the garage with a nice cup of coffee, look at the car and say, today I'm going to wax you. And then they wash the car, they wax it. And if it takes 3 hours instead of 2, that might be 1 hour or more, wholesome time that they have with their vehicle. And if they could stretch it out to 4, that might be a good thing too. So waxing, it's not always about being the most efficient and the fastest in doing something. Sometimes you just do it for the pleasure, and that's what waxing is.
Yeah, and I feel like as we get into springtime and then summer here, I'm reigniting that fun part of it. It's just fun to do this. And so if that's what you are detailing for and it's not for profits, like wax is really fun sometimes. Just make it an afternoon and just get connected with your vehicle.
Right. And the show-winning wax, the reason we called it show-winning wax is because of the way it fills. So Friday night, that Saturday morning you're going to Cars and Coffee. Friday night, put on a quick coat of wax, and applying our wax can be quick. We'll explain a few different strategies here to make it a little faster for you. But with the show-winning wax, once you apply it, those fine little angel hairs or, a little bit of marring on the surface just disappears into the wax. The wax has a great filling ability, and that is one of its superpowers. So we said in the beginning, why is wax better than a coating? Well, the wax fills. And when it does fill, and when you get that look, it looks almost like you've polished the vehicle. Now, if you've got really deep scratches and you've been through the car wash 5,000 times, and now this is the first time you're doing anything on your car, don't expect miracles. But on a well-maintained vehicle, it just amps it up just a little bit and reduces a lot of those little swirls that most people don't see, but those of us that are, have gone down the rabbit hole and probably have many times. Uh, for us, we can see the difference.
So in terms of application, like what is your thoughts on the different ways to apply it? Do you have a favorite? Do you have any watch out for this, do it this way, don't do it that way?
My favorite is our red waffle pad on a little DA sander. That is my that is in my zone for waxing because it's efficient, it's quick, and you get the results. Now, our wax does not contain any abrasives, and that's a very key point. A lot of waxes contain abrasives, and that's why those waxes, if you accidentally touch the trim, oh, the trim is white, and they're a little thicker, and also you are abrading the paint. The goal here for us is not to abrade the paint, it's just to leave the wax on the surface to make the surface better. So my favorite way of doing it, like I said, a red jeweling pad on a little DA. I did a Ford Bronco yesterday. Now, mind you, it was a soft top, so I didn't have the roof to do, but still, there's a bit of real estate on a four-door Bronco. And 15 minutes, I was done applying. So it's not that long. And then the wipe off is just as easy. The thinner you can spread the wax, the easier it's going to be to remove the wax or remove the wax residue.
Will it take longer if you're applying it on the, foam red applicator versus the jeweling pad on a dual action sander?
Yes. Basically, if you've seen us apply C6 app, the wax applies relatively the same way. Same machine, same pad, and you're not going over and over and over the same area like you're polishing. You're literally applying to the surface. So you can, for lack of a better term, buzz around the vehicle as quickly as you can. As long as you're touching everywhere, you're good to go.
And then you let it sit for 30 minutes or so. What's the wait time before the wipe off?
Minimum of 15 minutes. I like to wait a couple hours. If I've got something else to do, the longer you leave it, the better it's going to be.
And when you're using the jeweling pad, how much do you put on? How do you know what's too much, right? That can be very difficult to know unless you're in a room with Ivan.
Yeah, but the wax almost has to disappear into the surface. So if you're leaving a trail, like you can see where the polisher has been and you can see the oscillations of the polisher and the waffle of the because of the waffle pad, yeah, you're using a little too much. But if it just looks like a slight oily haze on the surface, that's what you want. And when you get that oily haze, don't touch it, don't move it around, let it be. It'll dry to a nice white haze and it literally just wipes off as a dust and just easily glides off the surface.
Here's what I'm envisioning. I have too much wax on my jeweling pad, Ivan, and then I'm like realizing that, and so I try to do like 4 passes to try to make it more oily and like disappear. Is that a good idea?
Well, what you can do is, let's say this never happens with Nick using too much product, but anyways,
Never.
It's a theory, right, Nick? So we have this
We're just
theory
asking for a friend. We're asking for a friend here.
asking for a friend, McGurk. Anyways, Nick, his first name, I think it is, right? Something like that.
Hey, I'll never change. No, I will try to change.
Yeah.
Listen, with the wax, it's harder than the other products, Ivan. It's weird.
Right.
I tried not to put a lot, and I struggled.
Yeah, but with the machine, if you're applying with the machine, we'll start with the machine here. If you're applying with the machine and you see that it's too thick, keep going. Leave that thick area for a while. Go to the next panel, stretch it out as far as you can, and then go back to that panel, go over it once quickly. You'll pick up the excess wax into your pad and then deposit it on the next panel.
Wow. It sounds simple, but also I have all these overthinking questions that are coming into my mind.
Yeah.
You say that it works. I'm going to trust you because you're the wax man. What else do we want to talk about as it relates to ceramic gloss? Like in terms of the look? Because I think ceramic gloss makes the panel look so good.
Right. So ceramic gloss gives you a crisp, clean look. So on a metallic paint, ceramic gloss amps up the metallic. The wax will actually slightly dull the metallic look. So it's, if you've got a straight black vehicle, so there's no metallic in the black, it's just if you drive a Ford, it's paint code UA. With that, the wax will give it a glow that you can't get with ceramic gloss. Ceramic gloss will give it a crispness, it will give it a brightness and very good reflective shine. The wax actually has less of a reflection to it and more of a light absorption. And that light absorption gives it a sort of a warm and fuzzy look. And it's not fuzzy, but that's the appearance, and that's what we're getting, and that's why a lot of people prefer the look of a wax. They don't like the cold, hard, crisp look of a ceramic coating or like ceramic gloss, but they like that natural, toned down look of a wax.
Well, yeah, I think of it as cold versus warm, basically. Kind of a
Yes.
cold, glassy look versus like a warm, inviting, kind of classic. Just you see it and you're like, oh, that looks right. That looks like
Yeah.
a nice looking car, right? And it's just, it's hard to explain. It's almost like when we try to explain why the rotary can sometimes leave a better finish than the dual action. And it's the smoothness of the machine going in just one direction and what that does for the eye when we see it in the real world.
Correct.
Anyway, it's one of those things you just have to see. So if you've never seen a wax, again, why not? Why not? As they say in North Dakota, it is summertime and it might be time to try the wax. Now, I do want to compare it to a ceramic coating, Ivan,
Well,
because there's a
back
lot
on-
of variables to talk about. Oh, what do we do? Too
Well,
fast?
you skipped ahead. You skipped ahead one last thing. Hand application. So
Yeah,
wax can be hand applied as well. And the hand application, my preferred applicator is the applicator that we so lovingly provide with ceramic coatings and also suggest for ceramic gloss and interior ceramic, all those things. That red foam applicator, it looks deceptively simple. There's a lot of engineering in that. And one of the engineering points in it's a closed cell foam. So the wax doesn't go through it. The wax stays on the surface and allows you to deposit the wax onto the surface. Now, when you're first starting out, you're going to do exactly like we do with ceramic coatings. You're actually going to apply a little too much to your applicator because you want to prime the whole surface of the applicator. Then from there, you just put a little bit on the applicator as you're going. And you only add more when you feel you're not depositing any more wax on the surface. So you're trying to stretch it out as far as you can. And the farther you can stretch it, the better your results are going to be.
What kind of prep is important, necessary, nice, but not necessary or unnecessary in terms of laying down this wax, how long it's going to last, how well it's going to perform?
So for those of you that are in Overthinkers Anonymous, you don't need to use C6 app. You don't need to use a panel prep. And heck, you don't even need to decontaminate the vehicle. Now, the decontaminate, wash for sure. You want a nice clean surface. If you have a lot of contamination, of course, decontaminate the vehicle. But it is not necessary. And people overthink this and they say, well, if I do a decontamination and I use panel prep, the wax is going to last longer. So instead of lasting 8 weeks, it's going to last 2 months. That's about it. Or it might last, or instead of lasting 12 weeks, it's going to last 3 months. It really makes no difference. The prep for a wax is not what's going to make or break it. The prep for a wax will make it look a little better, but in terms of durability, no. And if you're looking for durability, wax should not be one of your considerations because wax is not a durable thing. Our wax is carnauba wax, and a carnauba wax is a natural occurring substance. It's from Brazil, comes out of a tree, and it's a very, very hard thing, first of all. And we have to refine it. We have to add other products into it, mostly solvents, to help carry it and to help break it down and then redeposit it on the surface. As the solvents evaporate, that hard shell of wax comes back. And there's another brand that uses the term hard shell. Yes, I'm giving homage to them because they've been in the wax game longer than I have and longer than most people here.
Right.
Turtle Wax, they're a great company. Those of us that have, that are my age, we have used a Turtle Wax product at one point in our lives. We remember that green tin. And if you remember, it had that plastic lid on it. And in that plastic lid, so you had a green tin, it had a metal lid, and then it had a little plastic overlid that held a foam applicator that's similar to ours. And they've been using that foam applicator for decades now because it is the proper tool for applying a wax. Microfiber works, but microfiber lays it on too thickly. And you can't thin it out as well with a microfiber applicator as you can with a foam applicator. And that's why we suggest the foam. That's why the good folks at Turtle Wax suggest a foam as well, because it works.
It just works. And certain things are just classic and they've been around for a while. Watched The Sandlot with my kids yesterday and I'm like, this is just a classic. Once we saw it, we all knew why, right? It was like, okay. So wax just has some things like, it just makes sense once you do it. You're like, oh yeah, this is a classic thing. I guess the metaphor with The Sandlot doesn't quite continue on. But what I'm saying is wax has its own complete personality, Ivan, and it might be worth trying. Now, not only can you use our wax on a ceramic coating, but our wax is very different than a ceramic coating. And as I tried to earlier, I just wanted to try to bridge us to the wax v ceramic coating at about 15 minutes into the video, which was kind of the whole premise of the video.
Right.
Tell me the difference. Why would I have one or the other? I think folks out there have heard of coatings now. Those are both the two big names in the protection game outside of, I guess, PPF, like wax coating, PPF.
Yeah. Right. So we'll look at a wax. And before we look at the wax, I'd like you to look just down a little bit on your screen and you'll see a button that says subscribe. If you haven't done that yet, please do so. And once you do that, there's a little bell that's beside it. Hit that. You'll get notifications whenever we release a video. But wax versus coating. Now, it's not wax versus coating because they're two very different things. And PPF, again, it's not the same as a coating. They're two different things. All three provide protection, but they protect from different things. So wax, its superpower is actually protecting against water spotting. Wax is not good at protecting against bird droppings. It's not good against protecting against insects. It's not good against protecting against the sun. These are all things that will break down a wax very quickly. A harsh APC will break down a wax. So wax is not very durable. Like I mentioned before, if you're looking at a wax for durability, look somewhere else. Now, there are some synthetic waxes on the market. You could call them sealants. They call them synthetic waxes that have a longer durability. Ours is a pure carnauba, and I'll explain why we have a pure carnauba a little later. But then we have ceramic coatings. Well, actually, we have ceramic sealants, like ceramic gloss, like quick beads, much longer durability, better chemical resistance than a wax, but they don't have that look. And then the ceramic coating provides the best protection against a chemical assault. So that bird bomb, those insects, the car wash, all those things, the coating resists the best. And then we have PPF. Now, paint protection film, we have paint protection film at C6. If you're a C6 installer, it's available to you. Great American-made PPF. But what a PPF does is provide impact protection. So those stone chips, if you're tracking your car, you'll want to get a track pack. That's what it does. And it helps prevent scratching to a point. You'll scratch your PPF, but you won't scratch the paint underneath it. PPF is something that should be replaced on your vehicle periodically. And that could be anywhere between 5 and 10 years, depending on how you drive it, where you store it, or where you don't store it, et cetera, et cetera. So PPF does that. But PPF is not necessarily hydrophobic. It's not very chemical resistant. So if you're getting PPF, you need to get a coating. Now, the coating provides, like I said, the best chemical resistance, also gives us really good gloss, slickness, ease of washing as well. Something that wax is not particularly hydrophobic. It has hydrophobics, but ceramic gloss, quick beads, or any of the coatings will beat out wax's hydrophobics any day of the week.
I love the hydrophobic nature of ceramic gloss, Ivan, or quick beads.
Right.
I do enjoy the glow of the wax. I think the water spotting thing is harder for me to see it happen in the real world versus not. But I just know what I see, Ivan, and the wax is pretty magical. Yeah,
the wax just has a look, and you have to experience it to go, oh, wow, okay, now I understand. And before Nick and I waxed our first vehicle together, you had never used a wax. And you were asking...
I think I'd used someone's like ceramic wax at some point, and that was hard to install, but I guess that's wax for you, so I didn't quite understand what I was up against.
Right. But a wax just has a specific look to it that once you see it, you can't unsee it, and that's a good thing. But once you see it, it'll be like, oh, wow, okay, now I understand why all these old guys are waxing poetic about wax. And so wax has its place in our industry. And, a lot of people will have said many times, wax is dead. Wax is not dead. Wax has been reinvented. Wax has been improved. Wax has been bettered. There are people that are, like I say, putting ceramics in waxes. There's abrasives in waxes. There's all sorts of things that can be added to a wax to tailor it to what you want. But what we wanted in our wax was the look, the filling ability, and protection for a ceramic coating. Now you're saying, whoa, back up. You just said that the ceramic coating is the best protection you can get when it comes to chemicals. True. But Ceramic coatings have one nemesis, and that is minerals. So minerals are, they encrust themselves and they leave this little film that we don't see, we can't feel it, we can't see it. I haven't tasted a car, I don't know if we can taste it, but it's there. And that is what you drive your car through the winter, it gets salt all up on the sides throughout the winter. In the spring you go to wash it and there's no beading on the sides. That is because of the ceramic coating and all the minerals that are attracted to it. Now put a wax on in the fall, and in the spring your beading will be a lot better because a couple things. First of all,
Really? Okay, I'm listening.
yeah, first of all, in the winter, wax lasts longer because what breaks down wax the fastest is heat. So if you're in Arizona in July, don't expect your wax to last a month. If you're in Nunavut, and you probably don't even know where that is, Nick. So we'll say,
Canada?
yeah, it's in the northwest
Okay.
territories. So it's
All right.
it's like way up there. It's, Santa Claus's neighboring village is Nunavut. It's pretty far up there.
Got it.
But we'll use Anchorage, Alaska. So if you're in Anchorage, Alaska, your wax is going to last much longer than someone that lives in Phoenix, Arizona. It's just the way it is. If you're in the Sahara Desert, your wax is not going to last as long as someone who lives in the Netherlands. So same idea.
So it
But
lasts longer in cold weather,
yeah,
and you're telling me that it's a beneficial thing for it to be on in the winter. Is it repelling the minerals? Is it grabbing them and falling off? Talk to me about
yeah.
how
So
this works.
right. So it's not repelling the minerals. It actually absorbs the minerals. But what it does is, as a wax naturally does, as it breaks down, think of it as your skin. So as your skin breaks down, we get dust in the air. And, if you lived in a sealed house other than a little, filtered bit of oxygen coming in, you would still have dust in the house because your body produces it. And that's what's happening with wax. It's always, the dead wax cells are being fluffed off, but that mineral that was attached to that dead wax cell leaves as well. So wax in the fall for a better spring on your coating. And if you're one of these people that's very, very unfortunate and you're forced to park beside a sprinkler, you want a coating on your car, but you don't want all the problems that come with the sprinkler that you're forced to park beside. And, normally when someone is forced to park beside a sprinkler, the TDS is somewhere around 1,000, it seems. It's just off the chart.
Right,
And
right.
yeah, they get water spots. They look at the car the wrong way and they get water spots. If that's your case, then waxing on a regular basis is going to help because, again, that wax is taking on that mineral, but it's releasing itself from the surface. And as it releases itself from the surface, it's taking that mineral with it.
So wax v coating. Who wins, Ivan?
Both. So the coating always wins when it comes to real raw protection. And personally, I like the look of a coating. So I like that, most of my vehicles are red metallic, and the red metallic
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
with a good coating. And for 30 years I drove black cars, so I can adapt. But with that, the coating just gives it a pop that you can't get with a wax. Now, if I had a white car, if I had a light silver car, a beige, or just a pure red. So not a metallic red, but a pure red or a pure black. That's where wax is in its element. But put the coating down first. Have a coating on your car. And we specifically designed our wax to be compatible with coatings, meaning that it has no abrasives in it. Because the only way to really remove a ceramic coating is through abrasion. And if you look at some of the older waxes on the market, they were labeled as cleaner waxes. And by cleaner waxes, it was back in the time when we had single stage paint. When you waxed your car every 3 months or 6 months, you needed some form of abrasion because your paint was oxidizing. So you wanted to bring that color back. So cleaner wax brought the color back because it had abrasives in it. And we've maintained that tradition of having abrasives in our waxes when in reality, since the late 70s, early 80s, it hasn't been a necessity. It's not something that we need to have in our waxes. If you've got a single stage vehicle, by all means, get a cleaner wax. But put your ceramic coating down first. Give it at least a week to cure before you do anything to a ceramic coating. Give it a week to cure. Then wax it. And if you want to, do an experiment. Wax half the hood or a fender or, one side of the vehicle and don't wax the other, and take a look at it and go, okay, which do I prefer? Again, the beading on the ceramic coating will be 100 times better than on the wax. Wax isn't particularly good at beading. It beads, but we're not going to get those round 120-degree spherical beads on there. We're going to get, the fatter, lazier beads, and that's fine. It still does what it's supposed to do.
So I have a coated vehicle, Ivan.
Yeah.
How often should I use something like ceramic gloss and quick beads versus how often should I apply the wax? You mentioned right before winter. I'm out here hyping the fact that it's summer and it would be a great application time to put on your car and cruise around. It's just, it feels like summertime vibes, are asking for a wax.
Right. Like your white Jeep. Perfect vehicle for a wax. That white,
really?
Yeah, that white is going to look much better with a wax.
Okay.
So give it a try. You'll see. Now, I said the beading won't be as good, and you're in Utah, so the temperature right now is not that hot, but in the summer it can get a little warm there. So, your wax may not last as long, but you've got a coating underneath. You don't care if the wax lasts long or not.
That's true. Would you recommend it with the jeweling pad on the DA? Because you just sparked an idea for me to maybe do a video on it, just show whether it goes well or not. Oh yeah. Well, I lay it on thick, Ivan. When you do that with the wax, it's not very fun to remove.
No. So basically,
I'm worried that I don't trust myself that I could do it.
Give yourself half an ounce of wax.
Okay.
And you want to spread that over the whole car, over the whole Jeep, not the black roof, but over all the white painted portions of your Jeep. Half an ounce should be more than enough. So measure out half an ounce and then just gently put it on your pad and go from there. Now, you mentioned ceramic gloss, quick beads. They have their use case as well. And what ceramic gloss will do for you is give you more protection. So if your car is not ceramic coated, you haven't gone down that road, you want to experiment with different things, you don't want a coating for some reason, and please tell us the reason down below why you wouldn't want a coating. This always intrigues me. So if you're one of these people that, no, I never want a coating on my car, please tell us why. We'd like to figure this out. But that being said, ceramic gloss or quick beads will give you much more durability than wax. It'll give you better chemical protection. It's not as good as a coating, but it will help a little bit. And it'll be easier to clean because you'll get better beading out of it. But you won't get the look of a wax. And you can layer, meaning wash your car, use quick beads as your rinsing aid, as your drying aid, or use ceramic gloss as your drying aid, and then give it a day and then wax it. You want to let the ceramic cure. The quick beads and the ceramic gloss cure very quickly. Actually, give it an afternoon if you want, not that big of a deal, and then wax the car.
What else, Ivan? Did we leave anything out? I know we could go forever. Ivan could go for another 30 easy. But as we hit about the 30-minute mark in this podcast, I just want to ask if you have any other thoughts for the people on the wax, on the show-winning wax.
Right. The wax that I had as a kid is not what our show-winning wax is anymore. For myself, I was trying, the R&D process for us is quite long. And we've been working on this wax for over 3 years before we released it. We started working on it. And it was a long road to get to the point we're at now. And that point is ease of application. And especially with the machine, super easy to apply, compatible with what we have in our system already. So the foam applicator or the red waffle pad, those are both great tools for applying the wax. The wax smells nice. And
so you would just clean it out in your pad washer after it's done, and they could swap back to an adhesion promoter polish job, and then you would clean that out thoroughly in your pad washer, and then it could do wax again. And these don't have to be segregated as to this is my job, ceramic coating one, and this is my wax pad.
I wouldn't go from wax to app. I'd go from app to wax. But if you're wanting to just have one pad in your arsenal, then use all clean on your pad. And don't let it dry. Don't let the wax dry on your pad. So spray a bit of all clean, massage it in.
Just right after your job is done, right?
Right after the job is done. And then take it to the pad washer, and then you'll be fine. But that being said, a wax doesn't prevent you from having a coating. A coating doesn't prevent you from having a wax. Ceramic gloss doesn't prevent you from having either. And all they're all compatible. They all work together. But it's what is the final result. And don't put a wax on first and then a coating. Your
I was gonna
coating's not
say
gonna
you have
work.
to like get the wax off and polish before you do a coating.
Yeah.
So you would actually have to do some steps before the coating if you did wax first.
Right. Yeah. The least durable is the one you want to have as the last one you apply. So as an example, you coated the Jeep, we did that, 2-3 months ago.
Yeah.
So now you could put ceramic gloss on it. And then next week you put a wax on it. But if you put a wax on it now and then put ceramic gloss on it afterwards, your ceramic gloss is not going to last because the wax, just like it does with minerals, as it releases itself from the surface, it's going to take the ceramic gloss with it.
Okay. Ivan LaCroix, that makes sense.
Not always, but hey, sometimes I do.
Ivan, we've shown some B-roll throughout this podcast, but I do want to say there was a video that we did where we actually coated an old Mercedes-Benz, and I really struggled, and I learned some things, and I do think that when I struggle and learn, and I ask you, folks out there can learn a lot too. So maybe they should watch this video.
Right there.